everyone. Welcome to the Oh Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
How's it going, Dan? Long week?
Good, man. August 20th. When you hear this episode, we are coming at you with a review of the Suicide Squad. We'll get into that.
Not to be confused with
Suicide Squad. Yeah. So we'll get into that in just a second. But before we do, for those of you not currently following us, make sure that you're doing the easiest way to find all things Oh Brother is to go out to our official website, which is OHB as in brother podcast.com. It's ohbpodcast.com. And you can get access to all of our social media doings out there. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our videos out there. We'd appreciate it if you did that. We also have a blog that we put out, which we got a new one coming pretty soon that probably by the time you hear this episode.
By the time this drops, it'll be up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we also have the Oh Brother shop. So if you want to show off your Oh Brother pride, we got a new shop out there. You can take a look at some of the merch we've got out on the website, and feel free if you want to support the show in that way.
I think we got to change the mugs up a little bit because
they're
not really the official Oh Brother mugs. They're kind of a knockoff.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it doesn't have Oh Brother on the mug.
Right.
It's not authentic.
Yeah, but what would you rather have, that or some socks? You're always hawking the socks. He's hawking the socks, folks.
I love the socks. They're warm. They're thick.
So listen, I don't want to waste any time. As you could tell before we were on air, I'm eager. Like, let's get this rolling.
Let's go. Let's roll.
Now, that's right. Now, Suicide Squad. So the Suicide Squad, or hearkening back to our Michelle Lang episode, the Suicide Squad or the Suicide Squad?
THE Suicide Squad.
Yeah, TSS.
As opposed to the last one.
Yeah, and so this was released on August 5th, 2021. And it's aptly titled, I will say, because watching this film, I wanted to gather together a group of my closest friends and commit suicide. Now, I'm not going to pull any punches here. And we are honest here on Oh Brother. This is like, remember the old Saturday Night Live skit, The Honest Planet? For those of you who haven't seen that, go out to YouTube and Google that. It's one of Phil Hartman, rest in peace. One of his best skits was The Honest Planet. And speaking of that, it is Real Brothers, Real Talk. Of course, there's a little play on words there, but this has to be right up there for me with DC's Aquaman. And here's the real talk right here is
I didn't even get a chance to do
it's coming
so quick.
I'm going to go quiet here just a second. I am going to be in full disclosure. I did not finish this film.
Wow.
So I fibbed to you a little bit, a little white lie before getting on air, but this is the first time I've not sat through an entire film that we were reviewing. So I'm going to stop right there. I have much more to say, but I'm going to throw it over to you.
I did finish the entire film.
Yeah. So what'd you think of Jungle Cruise? It's a great film, isn't it?
Garbage. So anyways, this is the Suicide Squad as opposed to Suicide Squad. It's not a sequel. It's not a prequel. A prequel usually has the same characters, they're younger, like Cruella is a sequel, is a prequel to say the other things. This is just like another episode of Suicide Squad. Okay.
Right.
So
right.
You don't need to know anything. You didn't need to see the first one. The only thing you need to know is that this woman who works for the government, played by Viola Davis, right?
Mm-hmm.
She rounds up the worst of the worst criminals that there are.
Also the worst of the worst DC comic characters.
And she brings them together to go out and fight crimes on behalf of the US. She puts an injection in their neck. So if they go rogue or they decide to say, hey, I'm out free and take off, she can just explode their head.
Right.
So they don't have much of a choice. They have to cooperate. So that's really all you have to know, right? That's the premise.
Mm-hmm.
The movie starts with a bunch of new.
Viola Davis probably would have had to have injected one of those things in my neck to get me to sit through this whole thing.
Yeah. I'm getting to my opinion in a second, but this is the killer. Okay, this is very much like Guardians of the Galaxy, correct?
Also James Gunn.
Right, a bunch of people we really
Misfits.
don't know,
yeah,
misfits get thrown together to do something. So DC decides every one of our movies sucks. What should we do about that? Let's go get the competition. Let's go get the director. Let's get some of the actors. Let's get Michael Rooker. Let's get Sylvester Stallone. Let's get some, there's other actors.
Idris Elba.
Wakiti, what's his name? Oh God, I knew I was going to screw up. I had his name perfect all day, but I'm worked up now. But the guy who directed Ragnarok, one of the best Marvel movies, he's in this movie. So you got all this Marvel talent.
Yep.
You got a Marvel guy. In fact, they were going to kick him off Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is being filmed right now.
Yes.
Because they were claiming something else, but the reality is they felt like he jumped ship. Let's show him how we do things at Marvel. And the whole cast was going to walk out from Guardians of the Galaxy unless James Gunn came back. So he gets a lot of loyalty out of his actors.
Sure. Oh yeah.
But what he forgot to bring is his talent. This is awful. This is terrible.
Now because we watched it. Thank God I didn't go to the theater for this one, but we watched it on HBO Max.
Yeah,
and
thank God we didn't have to pay $30.
Yeah, and I was sort of on you all. Have you watched it yet? Have you watched it yet? Because I'd already seen 5 minutes of it and knew you were going to hate it. So I wanted to see where you were at with it. But here's the crazy thing. So I quickly I said, I got to see what this is doing on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. Have you looked this up?
I have, and I want to talk about that.
Okay. So as of right now, at the recording of this episode, it is 91% favorable from the critics. From the critics.
That's insane.
And 83% from the audience. But let's talk about that 91%.
When the audience is lower than the critics, something's wrong. Don't go to Rotten Tomatoes anymore. They're garbage because, I mean, I could be on Rotten Tomatoes. It doesn't take much to be on Rotten Tomatoes and be a professional critic. Go to
IMDb.
IMDb. It's a little better. It's still usually a little inflated, but their numbers are in the low 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more accurate. And they do what's called a meta. There's a meta score for the critics. Like the guy who writes for the Los Angeles Times should get a little more weight than a chucklehead like me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they weigh the people a little bit. So it's a little bit more accurate.
Yeah.
But the fact that this got a 91% for critics and they could splash that on their posters is so deceiving. It's so deceiving. It makes me think that website is garbage.
I hate to rain down on a film like this, but we say it over and over and over and over again with DC. And I thought at one point, this might just be an episode of you and I just staring at each other for 5 minutes in disbelief. It didn't take me 5 minutes to form an opinion about this film, and it never swayed. I mean, I made it halfway through, and I couldn't take anymore. It was so, and you talk about it was so gratuitous.
Yeah, beyond that. Beyond any slasher film.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that's funny, great, go see it. You want to see guts hit the window.
And early on,
this one's for you.
Yeah, and early on in the film, and again, in full disclosure, not that it's tied in or connected, but we were not fans of Suicide Squad either.
No.
So They're continuing with that tradition. But there's a scene early on with Idris Elba, and his daughter is visiting him in prison, and they have this, through the glass conversation, on the phone.
And
do I
yelling,
need 11, 12-year-old
F-bombs.
dropping F-bombs? And it's just, I don't need that in my cinema
F-bomb,
experience.
F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb.
Oh
Dad, F-bomb.
God. It's
here's the thing, Dan. I was looking forward to this movie. Can you believe that?
Well, this could have also just been an apology episode. You apologizing to me.
I was looking forward to this show because I thought, how can they screw it up? They've got actors that have done Marvel movies, so they know how the system works. They got a guy directing that's got 2 hits that have made almost over $1 billion between the 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
How do they miss?
Well, let's talk about that with the money. So the budget on this was, again, approaching 200 million. 185 is the estimate. And it opened at, I think, about 26 million the opening weekend. And it's grossed about 70 something million.
Amazing.
Unreal. And here's another film, right? Not only all that we've said already, 2 hours and 12-minute runtime, folks.
That was the one thing that concerned me when I popped on, found the movie, and then I saw runtime 212. I was like, I'm really going to enjoy this, or this is going to be a dog stinking movie. And this was the dog.
When did it hit you? Do you remember what it was?
It was early on. I was happy. I think Pete Davidson was well used in this. I thought he was well shot.
The King of Staten Island.
It was early on. I'll tell you when it was. I know exactly when it was. When they introduced Harley Quinn. Okay. Here's sexy Harley Quinn. And they took some heat for that, right? They over-sexualized her.
Yeah.
Her first appearances in the movie, she gets on this bus that's going to take him somewhere. She says, sorry, guys, I was late. I was taking a number 2. That's what I want. The sexiest girl in the movie telling me she just took a dump. That's when I said, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I am in trouble.
Get me head for the exits, and you were watching this at home. That's the scary thing.
I am in trouble.
This
is a movie I would walk out of if I was on a plane.
Right.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah. And we're doing probably what they were doing, which is trying to stretch out, an episode here that really is going to be, let's be honest, it's going to be the shortest episode of Oh Brother you've ever listened to.
It's absolutely awful.
It is. It's gratuitous. There's no story.
Write us. Please send us an email if you like this.
Convince me
Please
otherwise.
defend this movie and tell me how good it was
now
and why it was good.
It's taken, how long has it been since DC has won us over? Man of Steel? I mean, I just, ugh.
And I wasn't, Man of Steel took time for me.
And your boy is in this too. RoboCop should be ashamed of himself. Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah. And Sylvester Stallone.
Ugh.
His voice anyway.
I thought maybe that would,
you missed it at the end. He derobed on the shark outfit. It was Stallone, but no, that didn't happen.
Oh, all right. I could believe it. See, that's the thing. I could believe it.
I know.
And like I said, gratuity, the language, John Cena, I just, there's nothing redeeming about this.
You asked me, when did it go off the rails for you?
It was very early on. It was like right after they introduced Michael Rooker. When he comes out in the prison yard and is sort of getting a glimpse at who his
cohorts,
Task Force X?
Yeah,
his cohorts are going to be. Just the ridiculousness of the different characters. Pete Davidson was immediately not believable in any way, shape, or form in whatever that character is. And so it just seemed it's,
And
I mean, I don't
on,
want you to take yourself that seriously. We talked about that on a previous episode of one of these movies. But don't just make a mockery of yourselves either, which is what I felt like they were doing here. You know, where's the story?
I think in
wow.
their mind, they think this was funny and this was action packed. I think that's what the defense is. Now, one of the opening shots is with Michael Rooker sitting in a chair. And there's this shot of, I think it's like a reflection or a puddle or something.
It's just a shadow.
Right. And James Gunn flips the shadow and turns the camera 180 onto Michael Rooker. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this will be well directed or whatever. And then I realized he was just doing stuff like that to say, oh, look, I know how to do things. Like there was a fight between John Cena and Bloodsport or whatever, you know, his character's name, Bloodsport or Bloodshot or Bloodkill or whatever it was. And so James Gunn, oh, watch how clever I'll be. I'm going to put the camera on John Cena's helmet that fell off. And I'm going to show the fighting in the helmet. I'm a great director. That's dog crap. That was terrible.
And there was a lot of, he used, and I'm assuming he used it throughout the second half of the film, these transitional pieces where,
yes,
one of the early ones was, it was an aerial shot of what you figure out is a urinal in the prison.
Yeah.
And it says, what did it say?
Spells something. I don't know. Cause it's all, he does it all throughout right to the end.
Right. Meanwhile, it was like old Batman trying to do old Batman TV style stuff, you know?
Yeah. Like 8 minutes before, like you probably didn't even see this. Did you see the fight? Did you see the fight in the helmet that I described? See, you didn't even see that.
I ducked out. Pretty
And then there
early.
was like 8, you know, prior to this.
Yeah, I just knew.
So you can understand how we got here.
I knew there was no way it was going to redeem itself. And so that's why I tapped out. And I really am not ashamed of not completing the film. I'll be honest with you.
I watched the first hour last night.
Yeah.
I was planning on watching the whole thing. I got to about the 1 hour mark and I'm like, I think I paused to see how much is left. And I instantly shut it down, put on something. Hitchcock was like, I got to cleanse my palate right now and I'll finish it tomorrow.
I still can't believe the Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, that is just unbelievable.
That just shows you how skewed it is. I mean, you and I could go on, right? And we could fill out 100. We could put in 100 emails and slant that score. So that score is now meaningless for me. At least with IMDb, you see who the critic is. Mm-hmm. You see who wrote it. You can look them up to see who they write for, if they've really, you know, if they're a real critic or not.
Right.
You know, I don't consider the guy from the Harrington
Gazette.
News. Yeah, the Harrington Gazette out in Schwammscott. You know, I don't consider him, I don't know.
That's a horrible reference.
And I had a bad accent.
Way too localized. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, normally I've got a pretty decent amount of notes for the show, but this barely made a half page, and I was writing.
Well, you only saw half the movie.
I was writing a large script. Yeah, that's true. So let's just take a quick detour. What do you got behind you there for those watching on YouTube? What are we displaying tonight?
Okay. And this shows I'm not a hater of DC, even though I hate half of these
it really just shows that you have an addiction to physical media.
This side is the solid side, except for Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. I've got all 5 Spider-Mans that were done under Sony, really. So they don't really even count.
Man of
Steel.
Love it.
The best DC movie, and it hasn't been topped yet, Superman the movie.
Right.
The original.
Rest in peace, Richard Donner.
Over here, I have Zack Snyder's Batman versus Superman. And beside that is Batman. And the better sequel, which everyone hates on, and it lost the job of the director, Batman Returns. I think Batman Returns is actually a better movie than the original Batman. And a lot of people will say that's, that's totally off. But the only problem was it was too many villains. You
Yeah.
had Catwoman, you had Penguin, who was, because he was disgusting doesn't mean he was a bad character.
Right.
And then you had Christopher Walken, who stole the villain role from the big villains.
Yeah.
They really should have saved some of that for 3. And I think it would have been a much better movie. But anyway,
I'd love to say something redeeming about this, but I just can't.
what do you have in your notes? I can't even imagine.
No, it was just the basics.
This is horrible.
It was just the budget, the Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. There just wasn't a whole lot of meat on the bones with this one. And I don't know. I just, like you said, send us a note, folks. Convince
Please,
us otherwise.
Defend us.
And I'm just
and I am big enough. If you send me something that defends this, and I start thinking and say, you know what, that's a good point. I'll give it up and say, you know what, such and such from Omaha said,
Yeah, I'm going to stand firm and say there's nothing anyone could say that's going to sway my opinion of this film. No way. It's not going to happen.
I've been swayed before, but I can't imagine. I cannot imagine.
No.
Garbage, folk. Garbage.
No. And I don't want to, again, I'm not going to drag out this episode just to fill time. I mean, it's short and sweet, to the point.
Yep.
Take our word for it, or view at your own risk.
Go see it, spend your money.
View at your own risk.
And if you like it.
But just be aware, if you continue to support this kind of dreck, this is what they're going to continue to pump out.
I'll bet
Can you tell I just watched Glenn Ross?
Yeah, I know. Based on
with
the numbers
that you're giving me.
Yeah, based on the numbers you just said. I want
the Glengarry leads.
The good leads.
The good leads.
And
Patel?
Patel, money in a mattress, Patel. No,
we pitched these so-and-so's Baywatcher.
Chances are, if somebody likes this movie, they're not listening to us anyway.
It's a Glengarry monologue. Yeah. I'm loopy.
Nobody's listening.
No, everybody's turned it off. Well, we've got the Marvel audience is still tuned in.
And that's
DC
it.
Folks are tuned in.
I don't, and I said it last time we did one of their movies. I said, go out in the street, ask 100 people who's the best superhero. They're either going to say Superman or Batman.
Yeah.
They've got the 2 best, and they give us Peacemaker, and Marvel did it. Marvel got these nobodies.
Yeah.
Star-Lord.
It's kind of, and Peacemaker getting his own spinoff. It's like Cyborg being the focus of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
There was one moment when they got on the beach. The only thing that even brought a smile to my face
nice reference.
was Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
I forget what his character was, but he was like the detachable man.
Right.
And he could just
he threw his arms
detach
out.
His arms, and his arms would go slap people. But it was like Three Stooges. It was like, wow, But that was the only thing that I thought, okay, I like that character. And as soon as that happened, they killed him.
Right.
That's his arms detached. He got
That's
killed.
Right. Well, listen, I'm
sorry for the spoiler, but that's in the first 5 minutes. So.
That's all I got. You got anything else to add to this?
Garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage. Today is garbage day.
I'm going to do about as much editing of this episode as James Gunn did of the Suicide Squad, because he certainly could have trimmed this down by about 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, even if you kill a half hour to 40 minutes, there's nothing here. There is nothing good.
Where is it? Where's
Harley
the movie?
Quinn.
I just, in Harley Quinn, I'm just not, it's like coffee talk with Harley Quinn.
Stupid New York garbage accent that she does.
Alienating some of the audience there.
No, it's nothing about, it's just her. That she doesn't talk like that.
It's just over the top.
It's way over the top.
Yeah, over the top.
Okay, folks. You came to save me. I mean, everything you would want to see in this movie, you've seen in the trailer. The
Yes.
shark eating the guy.
Right.
Harley Quinn saying, "You were going to save me. Well, go
Yeah.
ahead, save me." That's it. That's the only thing. Don't go to see this movie. Please
No.
don't waste your money.
Save your money and your time. And
Right.
your time.
Right. Don't forget. You've got to get in the car, drive to the theater,
Right.
buy the tickets.
Even if you watch it at
4
home.
If you watch it at home, well, if you watch it at
Yeah.
home, you'll shut it off.
Yeah, just don't.
Unless
listen,
you have to. And shame on you for not taking the torture. I took the bullet. I kept watching this garbage.
No, I don't apologize for it.
You should apologize to me. You could have said,
Yeah.
"Don't watch any more of that garbage.
Yeah,
It's no better."
I haven't walked out on too many films, but this one I definitely did, in a manner of speaking. Okay, well, there you have it. It's 2 thumbs way down for the Suicide Squad.
Or as
Brother Podcast.
Peacemaker would say, 2 starfishes down.
I don't know. I don't care. I'm sorry. I just don't care.
That's
All right.
not even fun.
Yeah, let's stick with that. Let's just
Now I know.
go back to wrestling.
Wrestling, man.
And I like John Cena. I really do.
I know,
really do.
and he's a good actor too. That's the
I
thing.
like him. Yeah,
But
I like the Marine.
What
you know?
made him do this?
I don't know. Well, this made him do this.
I guess.
All right,
the movie's
folks.
going to lose money.
Yeah,
It's going to lose money. How many people are going to sign up for HBO because of this garbage?
yeah. We might lose money in the old brother shop after this
In fact,
review.
yeah. In fact, people are going to return the socks.
Don't return the socks, folks.
They're excellent.
Yeah,
Come
you can-
winter, you're going to
Yeah,
love those.
You can
socks.
use them to cover your eyes when you're watching the Suicide Squad. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Yo Brother Podcast. I've been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith. I think we're going to see you next time.
I detached my brain from my skull. I'm the detachable man. Bye, everyone.